Hi everyone, I'm so happy that you're here to join me for the Way of the Animal podcast. Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Yep, it's New Year's Day while we record this and the sun is out and we had an amazing aurora display last night. Which I saw.
I enjoyed the photos.
Yes, you enjoyed the photos and the short video from when you slept to when you woke up in the morning. But to follow on from our reflection podcast that we did last week, I thought it'd be interesting to do one about sort of looking forwards. A lot of people talk about their New Year's resolution, which is making, a hard choice to do something. And I prefer to feel into an intention, which is more like an aim for where you're going, I think.
Yeah.
And intention as well. Like the New Year's resolution are quite often, it's physical things that you're looking at changing and doing to help you feel better about yourself. And for me, I like the idea of an intention. I like the idea of how I want the year to feel and how I want to feel in the year.
Yeah.
Rather than looking at, if I lost some weight or whatever, then I will feel better. But I don't want to focus on that kind of goal. It's just kind of where I'm at in my journey just now is I'm focusing on how I want to feel. And within that, maybe there will be some more physical activity to make me feel better. And I forgot to put my phone on silent.
The thing I think about that is I'm a bit similar to you that New Year's resolutions and growing up, it was always, you'd see people making these, I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to do that, like really hard and fast decisions that a lot of them never were kept, never changed, never had any impact past maybe a month or two.
Yeah.
So I really like the idea of following more of an intention for the year, because that's not like a win, fail, pass, don't pass. It's just a way of being, which is much easier, I think. Yeah.
Well, it was something I read yesterday, but again, read it today, which is funny, is rather than seeking credit for accomplishments or focusing on results, be content to do any task for the task's sake. And that's the secret of experiencing true present.
I like that, because often doing things, you're looking at the outcome, the future, the next task, and even at work and things like that. If I bring myself into that present, mindful moment, because I enjoy my work, of just the task I'm doing and the positives of that, it makes it for a much better experience.
Yeah, and I feel like doing the task for the task's sake is like, I don't know if task is quite the right word that I would use there, but doing whatever you're doing for the sort of feeling behind doing it rather than for what it's going to create out of it. And I think that's sort of, again, echoing my idea of the intention for the year is, I'm doing the year.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm focusing on. And enjoying just experiencing that instead of trying to get some sort of accomplishment and outcome out of it from a space of I'm not there yet, which is quite often, the feeling you get. And then it can take you to a place that isn't healthy for you.
I think that's true. And the same with the bits where it's like a, win, fail sort of thing. It's it's much easier to find way of being and a feeling and kind of follow that than it is to, like you were saying about the weight loss thing. Because let's face it, with the weight loss thing, there'll be a lot of people that can relate to the, I want to lose whatever unit of weight. They lose it, but that doesn't change anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's how they feel about themselves, not
Yes,
their
exactly.
physical.
It's like, that's why I really follow that intention, that feeling, because I should be happy with myself however I am and however I'm feeling.
This is how you are at
Because
this moment in
this
time.
is me, and this is who I am. If I'm not happy with myself, that's a really poor place to start with looking after myself. And
Yes.
regardless of how I am, I should be happy with myself.
Yeah, that's it.
And
And-
that sort of self-love that we go on about, and I can almost feel the eyes rolling at that self-love. God, but actually, it's just so important. And that's where I think we end up creating ideas that are detrimental to ourselves when we put goals on, when I get there, I'll feel good about myself. And you've got to start by feeling good about yourself where you're at.
Why do you feel the eyes rolling at self-love?
I feel like there's a bit of a stigma about it.
I think it's more of a word association thing than, like, I don't think people who have a stigma don't fully understand or think about the concept of self-love. So to me, and I could be totally wrong, but to me, the idea of self-love is closer to self-acceptance. It's more about being happy with who I am.
I would say
and
as
where
well,
I am.
embracing, like, acceptance is like, this I am, but like embracing who you are, like really just
But, like,
being.
It's easy to embrace the good points.
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to embrace some of the other points, but it's possible to accept it all and say, this is where I am.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean this is where I'm going to be in 10 years, but
Or
this is where I am
in the next
now.
5 minutes, because let's face it, everything's always changing, and it's and I think that's, it feels like, I see it on the adverts that started showing up on YouTube. It's all the usual traps of weight loss, gain more money, and it's a lot of sort of physical, material outcomes that you can search for, and who doesn't want to feel physically more fit and vibrant, and who doesn't want to have more money in your bank account? That's it is something nice to strive for.
There's nothing wrong with wanting that.
Absolutely not. But I feel, in the essence of taking a good look at yourself, reflecting on your last year, and then creating a better year for you, or it doesn't even have to be better, just a different year for you, is looking at how you want to be and feel within that year, and then any of the outcomes that come from that will come from such a good place.
Yes. Yeah. I completely agree with that. And yeah, I think, like I say, I think it's more, and you can self-embracing, self-love, self-acceptance, whatever words you want to put towards it. I think a lot of that is about that. And there's so many resolutions that people make that aren't from a space of, I like self-acceptance. Self-acceptance. So what they're saying to themselves is, I don't like this about me, so I want to change it, which is, again, absolutely fine. But they're not saying it clearly like that. They're saying that I'm going to do that. It's incongruent.
Yeah, and then it ends up being this: if I don't make this, and I'm not there, I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
And I'm a bad person for not having dedicated to myself, and understanding that dedicating to yourself is initially accepting who you are and how you are when you begin. Yeah. And then, like everything, and it's such a cliche, but it is really important, is enjoy the journey of the transformation, the changes you make. Like, you've got to embrace and enjoy that. And sometimes it's really uncomfortable and it's not enjoyable, but you still have to be part of that, rather than focusing on, well, I had this deadline that I wanted to get to, and it's things take time, that things are changing. You're always changing. So you're always growing on your journey. So your goals change, your ideas change, and you've got to be able to move with that flow instead of start paddling upstream because, no, I set this goal, I must do this, and realizing that actually you're being guided into something else, and probably something grander. It's just the resistance of that.
Yes. Yeah. No, I think I completely agree with that. And it's interesting as well, because the thing that makes me think about it is the fact that goals can limit you.
Oh, absolutely. You don't, and I quite often read and hear that is, the way that my life has been unfolding in the last few years, it's felt like I've not really got anywhere. But that's like I've not really got anywhere externally, as in, you know, the things that are almost expected, you know, like thriving business, you know, money coming in, blah, blah, blah. But actually my internal growth and who I am has grown exponentially.
Yep.
But if I focus on the goals of what I'd like with the business and that side of things, I'm a failure, you know, quotation,
Yeah.
which is obviously something I don't want to say to myself because that's not a good program to put in there. But that limits me. Whereas within this growth, it's changing even the goalposts that I kind of set out for myself with what I wanted to do in this life, you know? And if I really stuck to the rigorous and not gone with the flow of allowing my own internal growth in this time, then I perhaps would have completely underestimated and missed this further expansion as to where I'm going.
I like that. And I like the idea of just looking for, like you say, like for the feelings and for the ways that you can experience life.
Yeah, well,
without a limiting
there was
mindset.
that other quote, the other thing that I read just the other day that I read to you today is strive to live the ordinary life in a non-ordinary way.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't even realize that I strive to do that, but I definitely am always like beating to the beat of my own drum. You know, I'm always sort of offbeat from I feel like I'm offbeat from everyone else because I'm not following a path. I'm creating my own diversion and path. You know, I really am just doing what I feel called to do at that moment.
It's definitely, that's one of the tropes of society that I don't like, is that you're kind of directed into a flow of this path. You know, you choose your path and that's where you are, and then you follow the signposts.
You're frowned upon if you've spent all that money and all that time learning about that and getting your education in that, and now you want to do something else completely. And it's like realizing that, that wasn't quite the goal I wanted anymore. It didn't bring me what I wanted, and I'm really interested in this.
I enjoyed it, but now I want to have a look at that. Yeah,
and it's just, feeling like we're not allowed to change our ideas or what we want to do, and especially if they're completely what feels like polar opposites.
Yes.
But I think that's just you actually going on, creating your own path.
Yes.
Sometimes you end up on someone else's path or an idea of a path that you think is right for you, and as you get down it, when you have that realization that it's not right for you, to just create your own path and go your own way, and that takes a lot of bravery and strength, especially if people are struggling to see it from your perspective. They're seeing it from their perspective of, but I think that's the way you should live your life.
You should always be free to do whatever you feel like you want to do. And I think that's the most important thing. But equally, I had a thought and it's disappearing on me. There's that, no, it's gone.
It's gone. Oh no.
It'll come back to me. But yeah, no, I think it's important for people to feel the ability to choose where they want to go and change their path and search for things that interest and excite them.
And I think it's like I've always said, is like choose things that light you up.
Yeah.
And even if you feel you need, or there is you have your job and that's what you do and you make money with it, but make sure that you're also choosing to do things in your life that light you up and fill you up, as well as like following that path, and that might guide you into something you would never have believed.
Yeah. So here's an interesting one. Looking forward, setting resolutions, goals, intentions for the year ahead. Do you not think before you do that you have to think about where you are?
Well, I think that's part of the reflection. That's part of the reflection, is seeing where you've come from to where you are now. And yes, you need to sit with yourself and be like, well, what do I feel is missing in my life right now, or how do I feel like I could live a more fulfilling life for myself? And I think that brings you forward.
Yeah.
But you need to know where the balance isn't right,
Yeah, that's it. You need to know where you are, and yeah.
Because you split it up, don't you, into sort of, you can look at your connections with other people and your family.
Yeah.
You can look at your work. You can look at your health. You've got all this sort of list of sort of things that you can look at and feel into and feel where you're perhaps not meeting what you would like.
Yeah. Yeah, when you start doing it that way, you could be writing an essay about your intentions.
Yeah, well, I think you can look at that and then go, okay, well, what is really important for me right now? And actually, you'll probably find that whatever it is, by following that path or that lead, you will end up, all the other things will improve and be better because you'll feel better.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that one little step can be the one that leads you down a new path of growth and discovery.
Or just the same path, you're just going a bit further,
Yeah.
What about, so it makes me think of what just came to me there is, expectations. And it's a hard thing sometimes when you don't meet your expectations, or life isn't meeting the expectations you have for it.
Yeah. Yeah, expectations are...
So it's like you've kind of decided you want to feel this way intentionally this year, or you've set some sort of soft goals, sort of you've got some clarity about where you want to go, and then you're not meeting those expectations.
So are you thinking along the lines of like setting a goal or an intention or a target, whatever, and you get to that point and you're like, this isn't quite what I expected it to be.
Yeah, or you don't meet it.
You don't meet your goal.
Because you...
Or that side of things. Okay, yeah.
It's like I've talked about, that I'm a failure because I haven't made the expectations. Like, how can we healthily create our future without it being, oh, I didn't meet it?
So what I think about that is there's that mental thing of, well, this was what I wanted to achieve. This is where I got to. But that's fine. I can still work. It's the seeing that this is
celebrating what you have achieved.
Yeah. If you made one step down the journey, well, you still made one step down the journey and started down it. And
that's the importance of actually reflecting on things, is because you're able to see then that you have progressed and you've perhaps come against some challenges that you haven't succeeded with.
Maybe challenges that you didn't know were going to come.
Yeah, and then sort of almost the challenges can show you ways in which you can develop and help yourself to embrace challenges in a similar form again,
No, I completely agree with that. It's probably a danger, though, in that mindset of making excuses.
And I think you can really get into that when you have that hard, fast goal, the resolution.
It's like, I was aiming for here, but this happened and that, and I just couldn't, and I didn't have time, and, so...
Dedication then is part of it.
Dedication is part of it. And
that, I think then, sorry to interrupt, it feels like then it really comes back to the importance of deciding on something that is attainable, and you're not setting yourself up for failure.
Yep.
Because quite often in a poor mindset, that would be really easy to do, is to set yourself up for failure so you can continue to say, well, I can't do anything because I couldn't even do that,
Yep. It's a thought I have with it. So if you set yourself a goal, I want to lose weight, and you don't make the steps towards it, well, you didn't really want it.
Yes.
It's kind of harsh, but if you wanted it, you would do it. It's like if you were underwater and you wanted to breathe, you would get to the surface and, you would make the effort. There's nothing that would hold you back.
Well, that's it, isn't it? It's realizing you think that that's important to you.
Yeah.
But if you aren't actually
trying
for it, then it really isn't important.
Then
so
you have to question why
you chose that. Yeah. So then really you need to reassess and look at what you want,
Did you choose that because of peer pressure or societal judgment?
Or is it because you think that that's what's going to make you feel better? And that's often the hollow idea of a goal is when I reach here, I'll feel better about myself. Yeah. So we've gone back to that loop of, realizing that if you're not really making the effort, then you're not setting the right sort of intention or goal for yourself.
And I believe this completely with every part of me. Everyone can do anything. And if you set yourself a goal and you don't make steps towards it, you didn't want to do it, because there's nothing that you can't do if you really want to do it. So equally, there's nothing wrong with saying, I'm going to do this. And then, 6 months down the line being, actually, I don't really want to do this.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But you have to then be honest with yourself and say, well, I thought I wanted that. I didn't want it. I gave it kind of a half go because I wasn't really that into it. I'm going to go off and do this. This excites me more.
Yeah. But that's part of the journey, isn't it? It's always changing, always. And it's, about following the threads like we talked about before and sort of being with the flow instead of paddling against it.
Yeah.
But also when you come across these speed bumps to understand that sometimes you do need to push through, move through it.
So that's the other side of it is as well, the speed bumps and the fear.
Yeah.
Sometimes the fear of pushing forward can hold you back, and then you can make the excuse of whatever reason for not doing it.
You're not looking at me, are you?
No, not in the slightest.
This is my learning at the moment, so this is really funny.
Honestly, I have it as a learning as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do, because fear is what holds you back, and usually, you're trying to strive forwards, and then you just kind of get a bit stuck sometimes.
Yeah, and you'll find yourself messing around doing this and that and the next
avoiding.
thing, which
resisting.
They're kind of linked to what you're aiming for, but they're really just distractions and procrastinations to hold you back from taking a step that you're uncomfortable making.
Yeah, but you're really uncomfortable in the resistance and avoiding of doing what you want to do, really, as well.
But that comes back to okay, so I didn't achieve what I was aiming for. Why not? Yeah. What held me back?
And I think we've spoken about it before, is really pinpointing the fear so you can understand it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to look at the fear so that you can actually go, oh, it's because I'm afraid of this is happening. Well, that's not going to happen. I can do this, know? Or I need to work through this so that I can feel like that's not going to happen for me,
That can be hard to do. It can be hard to find the pinpointed reason for the fear.
Yeah, definitely. And sometimes there's layers to it as well. You think you found it, and you should clear away whatever that is. This personal experience, perhaps. And 6 months down the line, something new that I hadn't realised was the fear has come up again, and I've got an appointment with someone to help me clear it, and hopefully clear the belief behind it, so I can take the next step. And yes, there may be more layers yet to come, but each time I'm working with it and working on myself, I will take a step forwards, and understanding that that's still moving forwards, even if it's not quite at the pace I thought I wanted it to be.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The fear is a hard one, and sometimes it's very hard to realize and pinpoint what the fear is, which that's where getting help from someone is often the way, because you'll find yourself, and it doesn't, it could be anyone. It can be a friend or something like that you can talk with.
Just support someone.
But it needs to be someone who's willing to challenge you. Yeah. When you say, well, I've not done this because of this, and they go, really? Because of that? Are you sure? I just keep asking.
What you need is that child. That's why?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
And then when you get to the root, you're like, Oh.
I read or heard somewhere, was it 7 whys? And it takes at least 7 whys to get close to what the truth is.
And then you got to look at the how. Well, how do I move forward then from this point?
That's it, because once you know what it is, it's really easy to move away from it.
Yeah. Well, not move away from it. I say, like, moving away from it feels like you're...
Avoiding?
Okay. Yeah. I know that wasn't what you meant, but it could come across as
move
that.
Through?
Yes. Jump over it. Leap over it with bravery and confidence.
Smash it. And
It's like, there's a bit of an analogy, like climbing a mountain.
Yes.
And sometimes it feels like you're never going to get to the top. And then as you move through things, it's like, oh, I'm at the top. Whoa, where did that happen? And then everything's out there in front of you. You can choose how you move forwards from there.
McLeod's table.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the worst.
You tell the story.
On the Isle of Skye, we lived near McLeod's table at one stage, which you can look up on the map if you want to. But basically, it was one of those mountains you climb where it had many false tops.
Yeah.
So you thought you were nearly at the top, like, we're nearly there. And then we'd get over the next rise. Oh no, there's still loads to go.
It happened like 3 or 4 times. Yeah. You're sort of climbing almost 45 degrees, almost sort of your hands scrabbling as you're going up. And then you crest the top, it levels out, and then just a wee bit further on, there's another step going up. And that was...
But we kept going. I think that's the important thing. Keep going.
That climbing that is a great metaphor for life.
Yeah. And then when we got to the top, amazing views.
Phenomenal views.
You know? And that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Which is always nice. But yeah, like they said, but don't do it for the accomplishments, for seeking your accomplishments and the credit and the results. Do it for doing it. Do it for the journey. Do it for you know.
Yeah. Do it for that view at the top.
Yeah.
That feeling.
The feeling rather than the... It's a feeling. See, feeling's the accomplishment though, isn't it?
That's like there's no selfless good deed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is the accomplishment, but you just doing it for that is better than doing it for posting it on social media.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And I think that's the thing as well, is like, we're creative beings, and I think it's actually really important to create in some form or another. I think it's, it's part of how humanity has grown, is through creativity, whether it's creating new technology or, new tools, in the prehistoric times, but it's part of who we are. And sometimes with creativity, you feel like it can feel like, or perhaps it's a me perception, whatever, that if you're not creating for something, so for selling it or for giving it away or for whatever, then it's a waste of time.
Yeah.
But this do the task for the task's sake. It's like create for creating's sake. Do it because you enjoy the process of creating. Yeah. And that's where if you're focusing on a creative outlet as your way of bringing in money, you can stop creating for the enjoyment of creating, and you actually are just doing it because I need to do this because I need the money. And then you're taking all the joy and the expressive feeling that creating can really bolster you with.
It's actually what it makes me think of, or it makes me think of a couple of things. That when I think about writing in terms of publishing, selling, that it's a totally different experience when I think about it in just doing because I enjoy doing it.
Yeah, creating a story.
I enjoy telling the story, even if I'm just telling it to the piece of paper. It's like when we were doing some painting and stuff like that, and definitely not a good painter. At no point was I thinking I'm going to be painting this to sell it. I was just enjoying the process and I enjoy the outcome.
Yeah.
But it's more of a personal enjoyment than worrying about the exterior side of things. Yeah. So I think that's a big one. Yeah.
Well, it's like just taking any creative inspiration you have and moving with it. Like my random kindling rack that I made.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had inspiration. We had lots of kindling next to the stove, and like, it'd be really nice to have a neat way of storing it. I could put it in a cardboard box, and I was like, maybe I'll get some young birch saplings and sort of put them together and make a little box for the kindling to
Yeah.
go in. And it's not particularly pretty. I probably should have pre-drilled some of them before I screwed them or whatever. But I like its naturalness and its functioning.
It's funny too, because the other side of what it makes me think about is, I think you and I have both experienced this, and I'm sure a lot of people else have. Growing up, really enjoyed horse riding, horses, everything to do with horses. I loved cross country and anything a little bit more
Gung-ho?
gung-ho. That's a good word for it. So quite a young age, got jobs working at stables and things like that, and this is great, love it, love working with horses, love doing stuff like this. And then it falls away from that. I'm enjoying doing it for the sake of doing it, and I'm doing it for work. Mm-hmm. And the shift, which makes me think of the same sort of shift with creativity. If you're creating something for external reward, it kind of takes something away from it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it's like, stop focusing on the accomplishments and focus on the process.
It's easy to fall into that mindset, because even, I say it all the time, I like my job, but it's easy to fall into the job.
Well, and it's also, there's always, right, you have goals. We need to get this done by then. We need to get this done by then. And then there's that sort of pressure, right? And then it's just, you're not really in the moment. You're thinking, right, by Thursday, we need this done. Yeah. And then you're just so kind of, and I expect that's how everyone gets so stressed as well.
Yes.
Because you're so, it must be done. And then in that way, you're not even doing it to your best ability, because you're physically and mentally in a poor mindset for even accomplishing your goals, you know?
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Resolutions and goals. It's a hard minefield to navigate.
And then I think there's a lot of people then just don't do any kind of... I'm not doing resolutions because it's like a fear. I'm not doing them because it's just always been not a good experience. And that's where, just choose a sentence, a few words, like strive to live the ordinary life in a non-ordinary way, make the mundane more interesting, be connected with who you are and what you're doing in every moment. And that is a really wonderful goal and will change your life in front of you because of how you're being.
That's like the mug that's over there, not the one that I'm drinking out of at the moment, but it's a mug I've got, and it says on the side of it, "There are so many beautiful reasons to smile."
And to be happy, I think.
Or is it to be happy?
Yeah.
To be happy. Yeah. And I like that because it's a really good reminder to take that moment and notice the good things around you.
Yeah.
And I think an intention going forward in the new year of trying to be more aware of those and this stupid negative bias that we all seem to have, trying to ignore that and trying to turn it into a positive bias. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that is one of the best intentions for the new year you could have.
Pitbull says, turn your negative into positive, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. But it's not even that, because it's ignore the negative and look at the positive.
Well, I think
there's
as well,
so many positives
in
there.
the negative, especially with goal setting, things like that, is like in the negative, you know what you don't want.
Yeah.
So that's easier to know what you want.
That's true. Yeah.
So having negatives, having ideas of things that I really don't want that to happen, I don't want this to happen, well, that's great. You know what you want then, because you know what you don't want.
That's true. Yeah.
So that helps you to change that around as well. So rather than ignoring them, have a quick look, because they're going to show you what you do want.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very true.
They're showing you where your fear is, where you're worried about things, and help you to create. And I think I put, I put some Aurora photos on Facebook, and I think my message was to my friends and family, create the year that you want. Yeah. And you're in charge of your life. So it's up to you to create your future. And forget goals and intentions. Just create what you want. Yeah. Go where you want.
It makes me think of two things. And this one needs a bit of explanation to start with. I think books, films, poetry, all sort of things like that, paintings, they all mean different things to different people.
Mm-hmm.
The movie American Beauty, to me, means see the miraculous in everyday life, see the beauty in the little things. And there's a bit in the movie where the kid in the movie is always videotaping stuff. And he videotaped, when he was in an alleyway, some leaves in a plastic bag blowing around in the wind. And he said it was beautiful. It was like it was doing a dance just for me. Mm-hmm. And videoed it and sat and watched it for ages. And like that was a really deep thing for him. Those sort of things happen to all of us every single day, and we don't look and see them.
Yeah.
So striving to see that, it's the same thing as the mug. There's so many beautiful things to make you happy. Like, it's that looking and seeing those things.
Yeah. I mean, like the aurora last night, it was minus 15 degrees centigrade outside. And I put on as many layers as I could, as fast as I could. I went out the door, I had to lie in the snow because I was getting a sore neck from looking straight up. It was straight up above me. And watched the aurora, you know. And I could have done what you did and went, oh, there's aurora. I'm going to go back to sleep.
Can't feel warm in bed.
But, you know, I feel so much better for having gone and embraced it and seen it again. And we've seen it a few times now, but every time it's just as magical.
Yeah.
But it's easy to just be like, you know, but that's how you miss out on the special things sometimes.
It's so easy to just ignore things.
Yeah. Embrace every moment. Well, it's like we've not had sunshine for a while.
Yeah. And
today it's beautiful and sunny and we were just like, the sun is amazing. Couldn't stop saying it. The sun's amazing, you know?
So I feel like that was a quote from someone.
What?
Look for the miraculous in everyday life.
All right.
I'm curious who it was.
I see. Well, I think we've done a good little feel into intentions and the new year and things. I don't know if I know exactly my intention yet. I feel like this week I'm just kind of leaning into it. I don't want to rush it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if I start feeling into my intention in the new year in February. You know, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
The calendar may say it's the new year, but the new year is when you feel that moment where you are transforming into the new year.
Yes, I agree. Well, maybe it's not a quote from something. There you go. It's me.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was a good talk.
It was a good talk.